the irreplaceable, the inimitable Alexa Lavoie. Alexa, how are you?
Bonjour, ça va?
Uh,
I'm good. I'm very good. I'm not going to start speaking in French because we will lose everybody who is watching at the moment.
all of us are brushing up on our elementary school French lesson. Ça va très bien? Très bien?
It's good, though. It's
It's
good.
okay. We remembered one thing. We had a little bit of a misfire with our last attempt at the live stream today, so we just hope you bear with us if you saw that. But we have a fantastic show for you lined up today. The Conservatives make Carney deliver a budget. Danielle Smith stands tall for Alberta. The UN attacks free speech. All that and more. But Alexa, ask me what I did last night.
And I know what you did, but I want to explain all the viewer what you did last night.
Okay, well, last night, Rebel News hosted a very special emergency town hall at the Turvey Center in North Regina to talk to the Saskies about potential separation from the nation of Canada. And wouldn't you know it, 520 brave and completely irate Saskies showed up, packed that room to the rafters. There was standing room only at the end of the night. Bunch of people standing at the back. And Ezra Levant delivered a beautiful speech about Alberta and Saskatchewan being twin sisters and reuniting in the end. As some of you might know, Saskatchewan and Alberta were created on the same day in 1905. And he gave just a really, really beautiful speech. Corey Morgan from the Western Standard was there. He gave a really impassioned speech about separation. He's written a book called The Sovereigntist or the Sovereigntist Handbook. You can get it on Amazon. And I got to catch up with him at the end of the night and ask him about the differences that he was seeing between Alberta and Saskatchewan right now. And he said, Alberta's separatists or independents, we'll say, independence-minded people are very, very active right now. But he said, actually, Saskatchewan is actually louder, which is really saying so. Like it's typical for Alberta to be noisier and faster and larger and more in your face, and very typical of Saskatchewan to be a little bit more chill, a little bit more laid back. But underneath the surface of the people of Saskatchewan is a simmering rage at the federal government. So while Mark Carney was hosting his first ministers' meeting in Saskatchewan, the first one in 40 years with the new government, the people of Regina and surrounding areas, we had people from Manitoba show up, we had people from Alberta show up, and all points in between. It was a brilliant, brilliant night. And if you would like to attend the next Rebel News emergency town hall on separation, it is coming up in Red Deer, Alberta, on June the 14th. And it isn't just an evening event, it is an all-day event. They are going to have speakers. We're going to have panels. We're going to have a little bit of a trade show happening there. You want to meet the people of Rebel News? They're going to be in Red Deer on June 14th. You want to meet some of the most active players in the separatist movement in Western Canada? They are all going to be there. So head on over if you're in the Red Deer area, Alberta area, or in Saskatchewan. You can go to donegetingscrewed.com to get your tickets, and we look forward to seeing you on June 14th.
Every time that you speak about Saskatchewan, I don't know if you ever heard about the song in Quebec.
Oh no.
It's just about Saskatchewan, and the guy is just like keeping repeating like Saskatchewan. And it's just something that is just like getting into my head all the time. It's just like a song that I was listening like in the past, but it's so funny. You have to listen to it. You will see it's all in French, but it's just like funny how they describe like someone living in Saskatchewan who lose his wife for going to join like a beef somewhere or a cow. Just like it's just funny.
I didn't know that they were writing beef songs about us in Quebec. I'm gonna
Yeah,
have to
you
go
will see.
listen. I'll make it the like the ringtone on my phone. I didn't know. I didn't
Yeah,
know.
you would love it. You would love
Do
it.
you hear this? Quebec actually loves us. They're obsessed with us. They write songs about us and everything.
I think it's the
Oh,
only
that's
song,
hilarious.
so don't get too excited.
Well, we'll have to all listen to it. Maybe we'll have like a group listen later on Spotify or something. If you didn't hear this first part of the show, just real quick, if you're watching on Rumble, the free speech platform, you can leave us a Rumble rant of $5 a word. We'll read it on the air. If you're watching us on YouTube, same deal. You can leave us a super chat for $5 or more, and we'll read it on the air. And if you're watching this not live, like a little bit later, you can also leave us a super thanks. You can also leave us considerably more than $5. If you have a burning issue that's just got a bee in your bonnet and you want the whole world to know about it, you can send us $100 and we'll make sure that they all hear about it. But again, we're having a couple little technical issues that we're working through. No biggie. We're just going to start again. So Alexa, let us talk about Danielle Smith. So
I love
Danielle,
Danielle Smith.
she's
Please just get. I give you François Legault, and I'm taking Danielle Smith.
that is such a common sentiment in the province or in the country that Danielle Smith is the only true leader that Canada has right now. And she spent the last couple of days with her fellow premiers in the Paris of the Prairies, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, meeting with Mark Carney's delegation for the first time, I guess. And she says she's reporting live on what she's discussing. So she says, yesterday, I met with Prime Minister Mark Carney. While there appears to be a desire to move forward with new projects, including a West Coast bitumen pipeline, a clear commitment is needed to act on barriers that have held back private investment. So, do we have a clip of Danielle Smith? I'll just give him a sec.
I
Here we
will
go.
tell you that with Mark Carney, if I don't see it, I don't believe it. So as long as we don't see any concrete action, it's just going to be impossible. If they keep C69, the no more pipeline bill, it's going to be almost impossible to build anything related to non-renewable energy. And so I'm not really confident that if Mark Carney continues to push this really aggressive net zero emission, I don't know how we can actually deal with Alberta in the West and building a more prosperous Canada.
Yes, you're right. You're right. Do we have this video to play, guys?
Why tie the issue of getting a commitment for an oil pipeline to national unity?
Well, you have to understand just how damaged Alberta is by the fact that we didn't get pipelines built. If we had built Northern Gateway, if we'd built Keystone and we'd built Energy East, we'd have 2.5 million barrels more per day of production, which is $55 billion a year worth of GDP value, which is worth $17 billion to my government alone and about an equal amount to the federal government. So this is not just an ideological argument. It's not just a minor disagreement. Oil is by far the most valuable export for Canada. Any of the projects that you will see on the ultimate list, I will tell you that a bitumen pipeline will be by far the greatest benefit to all of Canada. That's why we're going to continue to push for it, because it's a good project. It's good for our country. There's $9 trillion worth of value in discoverable and achievable reserves right now. And so why would you leave that in the ground? No other country in the world would, and we shouldn't either.
No other country in the world would leave it in the ground, would they? But here comes Canada with all of their green initiatives and all of their, all of their climate policies and all of the damaging, deeply damaging policies that they've passed over the last 10 years that have done nothing but decimate Western industry and hurt the rest of the country. I think she has a great point that developing these resources would result in $17 billion for Alberta and $17 billion for the federal government. This would help the rest of the country. And yet we have a federal government that is completely committed to keeping it in the ground. Like, make it make sense. Make it make sense, Alexa.
And you need to don't forget about the fact that Quebec is sitting in the biggest quantity of natural gas in the world that is not exploited. We are sitting in a really big quantity of oil. We are sitting on a major quantity of critical mineral. And what our premier have decided to do is to ban the exploration and exploitation of natural resources. So right now we have a law in place that we can't do anything. So I'm just really curious because I know that Premier Legault have recently said that he's going to look into building a new pipeline with Alberta. So he's actually looking into a new project with her. So the thing is, you don't have a lot of time. And Alberta need to act fast because we have, next year, we have our election and François Legault will be out. And it will be replaced by the separatist party that's called Parti Québécois. And I don't know, you probably didn't see their political policies, but it's a radical environmentalist agenda, anti-pipeline, and really is the most radical one I saw so far. It's like comparable to NDP.
Really?
Yeah. So I don't know what's gonna happen. Probably you will just pass over or somewhere else that is not Quebec. I don't know. It would just make everything more complicated, I'm pretty sure.
That's really interesting. So you're saying they need to put the gas on it. You're not alone in saying that either, because Danielle Smith actually said, and this is just so classic of her. She said, I'm giving Mark Carney 24 hours. She is putting a hard and fast deadline on some of these actions because it's so easy for these politicians to kick the can down the field and say, yeah, we're working on it. Yeah, we're going to consult on it. We're working with experts. We're consulting with experts, and then do nothing in the end. And not Danielle Smith. She's put a 24-hour deadline on Mark Carney to make up his mind. You know, there's an expression in English, crap or get off the pot. And that's what she's forcing him to do. And it's incredible, really, because if you want to get these things done and you want to get them done fast, they must be done on an expedited timeline. So it'll be really interesting. Yep.
You have no choice.
Yep. It'll be really, really interesting to see what Quebec does. I mean, Alberta and Saskatchewan separation might just be the thing that Quebec needs to realize their potential, because what they're doing now is capping all the production of their natural resources, all of them, and just taking bags of money from the West, and that's not fair to the West. So if Legault is saying that he's game for pipeline development through Quebec, well, then we got to get shovels in the ground as soon as possible.
Yeah, you need to act as soon as possible for stopping the next government in place to overturn the decision and say, oh no, we are not going to go further with that project. And we know that in Quebec, this is one of the major problems, that they are starting project, but after that, they are putting in place so much study if it's good for this or that. And at the end of the day, after 10 years of study and reports and everything, there is nothing done. And so you see, it's the same thing with the tramway in Quebec that nobody wants, but they continue to do like all kind of study and look into like what is the best for Quebec. I think it's been like almost 10 years that they are looking into like that tramway that is about 28% of social acceptability. Nobody wants it. It can't really work. Do you see Quebec under like the snow with the tram? It's just ridiculous. But anyway, it's just, we have the third link. We have two bridges that are collapsing at this moment that are not really trustable. And it's been how many years that we are looking into building either a tunnel or another bridge, but it seems like they are just wasting money. At this point, I think it's like corruption of money to just spend into like new study and we talk about millions of dollars being spent for absolutely nothing. And so, yeah, you need to deal with, like, I would say McLean was kind of right when he was saying that Quebec is the most corrupt province in Canada. Nah.
You think? Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
I think we can agree. I think we can all agree on that Quebec is the most corrupt province in the country. Oh, well, I do hope you can get it together. I do hope that they can get it together.
No,
Because
impossible.
yeah, well,
you can't get everything together when you live in a socialist province where the government is actually paying for everything and taking care of everything of your life. It's ridiculous. Quebec, if you look at the system, it's literally based on socialism.
huh. You know, there is a solution to this, Alexa, that we talked about in the lead up to the show before going live, and it is just to move west. Like, just come west, all of you guys. All of you common sense normies out there in Quebec and Eastern Canada, you just pack up your truck and you come to
You
Saskatchewan
have
and
a
Alberta.
lot of Quebecers, especially in Alberta. There is a lot of Quebecers over there.
Let's go. We just need you. We just need you now. Come on. Like, what's stopping you? Well, I mean, who would report on the corruption if Alexa left, though? So we can't rob the people of Quebec from her presence. But one day, okay, that's the goal. That's the goal. One day we're going to get you guys to Western Canada. Okay, next up on the Rebel Roundup, we have a tweet from Andy Lee, our dear friend Andy Lee. And she says, a nice shot from Vesper Digital, 3 smarmy men smirking at a woman running a powerhouse province, trying to cut red tape and increase productivity in Canada because it's 2025, right? So here's Danielle Smith facing off against Mark Carney, Marco Mendicino, and I don't have my glasses on, so I literally can't see who the other guy is. But anyway, let's safe to assume that he's a smarmy liberal staffer of some kind, senior minister of some kind. But there they are, all leaning in and trying to screw her over. And every woman on earth, Alexa, okay?
Who's that man? I don't need glasses, but I can't tell
But
you.
you can't place him either?
No.
Maybe if we had a headshot to compare, we could tell you. But this is what Danielle Smith is up against. This is what Danielle Smith is up against. She is up against a wall of liberal men who are bound and determined to tell her no, while she's giving them lists, literal lists of initiatives that she needs them to either change their stance on with significant amendments to current liberal policy or scrapping them altogether. One of them being Bill C-69, the anti-pipelines law, the regulatory burden that's put on Alberta resources, amongst the Canadian tanker ban for another. These are things that she is saying. She's given them a list of 9 things and said, you guys have to deal with these 9 things. Like, toot sweet. Like, is that, did I use that correctly?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You guys need to deal with this. Toot sweet. And in no uncertain terms, she is not backing down. So I really like that's a powerhouse woman facing off against a bunch of guys who are bound and determined to stop her. Just watch her. Just watch her run them over. I can't wait. I just love her. I just love her.
And I like her. Why? Because she doesn't let her emotion take over. She's always like, I want this. She keep calm. She keep cold head, and she go and she ask, and she just show how a true leader she is.
You know why she's able to do that, Alexa? Because in her past life, she made a really bad political blunder where she sort of linked up with a competing Conservative Party, and she lost the election to the NDP, to Rachel Notley in Alberta. And in her years after that staggering loss to the NDP, Danielle Smith went and worked on radio. And what you do in radio, I came from radio. And what you do in radio is you listen. You learn to listen. You learn to listen to what's important to people, and you learn to reflect back to them in your own language what they are saying to you and what they have said to you. And Danielle Smith is an absolute expert at this. When she speaks directly to the people of Alberta, and she speaks their language. And yeah, you hit it right on the head. Nobody does it better than Danielle Smith. For instance, Danielle Smith explains why Alberta's oil and gas sector is critical to Canada's economy and how the Liberals have put national unity at risk by crushing pipeline projects. We have a little video for you next.
Actually, you would be blind if you don't actually realize that Alberta is crucial for the economy in Canada. Like, all those people who pretend the opposite are just crazy.
Yeah, it's true. How do you pay for all of the nation building projects if not for the development of oil and gas in Alberta and to a lesser extent, but equally important in Saskatchewan too?
And equalization payment.
That's right. That's right. Oh, here we go. Here she is, Danielle Smith.
I think sometimes Canadians will hear this debate and say, well, that might be of benefit to Alberta, but what about my region of the country? What do you say to that?
Well, if Northern Gateway had been built, it was a 595,000 barrel a day project. Canada would have benefited to the tune of $59 billion. That's how much revenue would have flown to the federal government, and provinces would have gotten $72 billion worth of benefit. Lots of that going to Alberta, but also with the spin-offs to all of the different provinces as well. That's a lot of money that can go to build a lot of schools and hospitals and roads and infrastructure. And so that's what is the foregone revenue because that project didn't get built when it should have. When we look at that, along with Energy East, along with Keystone XL, it just magnifies it. We could have by now had 2.5 million barrels per day more of production. That's $55 billion worth of GDP value. And the split, again, we benefit at the provincial level almost as much as the federal government does. So when the federal government is able to get those dollars, they're able to share them in the rest of the country. And that's part of the value proposition about why we want to see those projects built. It's even getting more so as we start talking to each other about, well, if we need to build 42-inch pipe, where can we get that from? Who can produce it? Right now, I think there's only one place in Canada that can. So why don't we find a way to retool our factories so we can build more of the products that we need for those major projects in-house? And that's, I think, the really constructive conversation that's now happening across the country, is that if we have an American partner that doesn't want to buy our products anymore, how do we buy more from each other? And I think that that's going to be the other way that we have additional benefits. So maybe why you saw so much common cause.
So here she is saying that there's $55 billion on the table, and we must just be brave enough to take it.
Yeah. And by the way, I don't know if you remember, not long time ago, but if we had the pipeline that was passing across Canada, do you remember when Olaf Scholz came to Canada? Is the chancellor of Germany, and he was asking for natural gas, and he wanted to sign a deal with Canada. And what Trudeau said was like, no, we will not sell you this, but we will sell you some green hydrogen that we don't produce yet.
Right.
Do you remember that one?
Yeah, Japan came looking for our LNG too, and he said there is no appetite for it. There's no appetite for LNG, and there's no business case. I believe what his words were was there's no business case, when we know that that it was just a complete lie. It was a complete lie to toe the line of the green agenda, to the net zero agenda, and he didn't want to help Alberta or the rest of Canada prosper. And so here we are with an Alberta Premier, Danielle Smith, with a new Prime Minister saying, if the United States doesn't want to buy our product, then we must do a better job doing business within our own borders. And that's what it looks like they are doing. So we're going to go into a little bit of an ad break now, people. Please stay with us, and thanks so much for joining us on the Rebel Roundup. We'll be right back.
Hey, what do you think about Alberta independence? What do you think about Alberta trying to get a better deal within Canada? Do you think Alberta should have the right to vote in a referendum to separate the same way Quebec did? There's a lot of things to talk about. Can Canada be fixed, or has the West tried that, done that, been there, and it's just not working? Well, we're going to talk about all these things in an amazing day-long conference in Red Deer, the heart of Alberta, on Saturday, June 14th. Go to donegetingscrewed.com to get your tickets now. It's going to be a full day. We'll start with a continental breakfast. We'll have panel discussions. We'll have keynote speakers. We'll even have a debate. I think that's going to be the highlight of it. David Legg, former advisor to the Alberta government, is going to make the case for Canada. Keith Wilson, lawyer, freedom activist, he was with the Freedom Convoy. He'll be making the case for independence. We'll have other people in the debates, a media panel, and people of different points of view, including different political parties. There's going to be a bit of a trade show there too. So we'll serve you 2 meals, but more than that, we'll serve you ideas you just can't get anywhere else. But it's coming up quick, and I promise you this event will sell out. There's only room for 1,000 people. And I know that there have been 1,000-person meetings about this subject all over the province. In fact, we had an event in Calgary that sold out in 2 days when we had only 350 seats. So don't be disappointed. Go to donegetingscrewed.com and get your tickets now. I'll be there. Sheila Gunn-Reid will be there. So many interesting people. Our friends in other media companies like Western Standard, Juno News, and Countersignal. It's going to be a great day. That's Saturday, June 14th in Red Deer, Alberta, all day long. Go to donegetingscrewed.com to get your ticket now. Don't wait. I don't want you to be locked out. It's going to be full. See you there. That's donegetingscrewed.com.
Do you agree with me? It is time to make Canada great again. And that is why we at Rebel News have teamed up with MCGA Hats to introduce, well, the fashion sensation of 2025. Oh, and by the way, these beautiful hats, they are made in Canada. We don't rely on cheap imports coming over from China. So what are you waiting for, folks? Show your pride. This is the perfect thing for a patriot to wear, or maybe there's a patriot in your life that you would like to gift such a hat. Please go to mcgahats.ca. That's mcgahats.ca. Don't be shy about it. Wear this cap. Let everybody know you want to make Canada great again.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to the Rebel Roundup. I'm Lise Merle. That's Alexa Lavoie. And to the surprise of absolutely nobody, absolutely nobody, the UN just declared war on free speech. The UN Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, is talking about X and other free speech platforms. Let's listen to what this canned ham has to say.
Digital platforms are being misused to subvert science and spread disinformation and hate to billions of people. This clear and present global threat demands clear and coordinated global action. Our policy brief on information integrity on digital platforms puts forward a framework for a concerned international response.
Oh, that's not at all concerning, is it, guys? Is it, guys?
Isn't the same guy who actually said like a couple of years ago that the planet was boiling and we should like take action right now, when actually it's really cold in Quebec for a start of a summer? And I'm just like, where do you see that the planet is boiling? Because I would take a little bit of that here right now.
Yeah, nothing good or accurate or truthful ever comes out of the UN. You know that if they hold a press conference at the UN, they're just going to come out with a brand new fancy pamphlet and lie to your face. What he is actually saying there, Alexa, is that there's a lot of people that are saying inconvenient truths right to their faces, and they must be protected from the truth. Somebody won't. Somebody do something about the people on X speaking the truth. Won't you do something about that? There is no good that comes from silencing dissent ever. This is how fascism operates. Mm-hmm. When you get stuck in echo chambers and drama triangles, these guys never get out of their own validation circles. But I think that it should concern Canadians that the UN is calling for a coordinated effort to tamp down on misinformation, okay, misinformation and hate speech, when it is not hate speech, it is just the speech that they hate.
And by the way, one of the main problem there, and I can speak about it because I study in biology, so I have a background on this. But one of the main problem is scientists and people who are publishing now cannot publish in the normal newspaper that they used to publish all scientific article, because now they have been bought by elites like Bill Gates owns some of them. And so right now what they are doing, they are trying to restart kind of a newspaper where they can freely post and publish their finding, their scientific finding. And where they are publishing it too is on platform like X, where they can also expose all their research or all their finding that is not being taken into consideration by the big newspaper. And so that countered their narrative. And one of the thing that I learned when I was doing my bachelor was use all the scientific article, but do not trust them, and go and verify yourself on the ground with the people and verify if the facts are okay. And it's what I did in one of my courses. We study biodiversity in Borneo Island in Malaysia. And at the end of my year, we went over there to verify if every single article we actually read over the courses were actually true. And I would tell you that it was not exactly true.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So you fact checked them and you found them coming up lacking, is what you're saying.
Yes, because you can't trust just one or two or just a couple sources, because unfortunately it all depends on how they manipulate the data. And sometimes you can make a big mistake, and sometimes it can be in different like level of your processes, and sometimes you will find like mistake all over, and that will modify your conclusion. And so it's really important that you take a bunch of them from different kind of outlet. But when you have like outlet or people who are reflecting all the same conclusion because they did all the same kind of manipulation, of course you will end up with what you want, the dominant narrative. But unfortunately, you need to check multiple ones, but those people are being censored and they are being refused to publish where they should publish to show all kind of side of the story.
The censorship regime is alive and well in this world, and Rumble, as well as X and other free speech platforms, are doing such an incredible service, really, to humanity when they push back against this. Because of course you're right. Of course there's a dominant narrative that they want to push because there's money in it for them. There's money in it for them. But I heard that Elon Musk was described as the person that saved free speech in the world after he bought X. And I remember being like, I thought that he was buying it as sort of a vanity project. But now seeing how powerful X has become in the world for people to post and speak and back up the truth, I mean, we would be in a lot worse place without it. So,
and look at the news. The news, if you look at the newspaper, or sometimes you look at the legacy media, most of their report is based on what's going on X. They exchange what the politicians are posting, videos that are circulating. It's all about that. And you will see it yourself. You will see, oh, this person published this on X, or a very viral video was circulating on X, and it's all about X. When was the last time you say, oh, something happened on Instagram?
Well, that's the crazy thing, is because X is where all of the stories are found. So everything that happens ahead of a story getting published in the mainstream news happens on X. Once it's been once it's been neatly packaged and the narrative has been determined by the mainstream media, that's when you'll see it percolate up through your Facebooks and your Reddits
Yeah.
and your Instagrams and what have you. But the news actually happens on X before it happens anywhere else. And if you're not over there, you should be. You absolutely should be. I mean, it's just not to be missed.
Go and subscribe.
Yeah, go get yourself an account if you're not there. If you're not there. So next up on the Rebel Roundup, we have Doug Ford. Speaking of misinformation, and all hate speech, here's Doug Ford glossing the backside of Mark Carney.
The fake conservative guy.
Glossing the behind of Prime Minister Mark Carney, describing him as Santa Claus. Let's have a peek.
This has been the best meeting we've had in 10 years. Simple. Best meeting I've had in 7 years. And there was no expectations that the Prime Minister was going to come out and say, you get that project, you get that project. It was a great discussion. I described him today as Santa Claus. He's coming, and his sled was full of all sorts of stuff. Now he's taking off back to the North Pole. He's going to sort it out, and then he's going to call us. So, and we're building a short of Santa Claus is my big belly. I got to loan it to him.
So it's just crazy when you hear that. Okay, first of all, Doug Ford was the first one to defend and to take a part of the Liberals when he should have been supporting the Conservatives if he's really a conservative guy. But what we saw, it's like him taking lattes with I think Carney and having like some chatty time with Freedom. So at the end of the day, how can you trust what he's saying? Obviously he's biased, and second, it's just words. It's just words. He didn't do any action. It's just words. And how come politicians didn't learn that as soon as if you hear something but you don't see concrete action, why do you put your trust on someone? It's just ridiculous.
No, Doug Ford is the Liberal Party of Canada's best cheerleader. Like, the only thing that he was missing in that is red and white pom-poms. Like, ooh, just so excited about the Liberal Party. But no, who are we kidding? If the federal government shows up with a sleigh full of goodies, it's incumbent upon us to ask ourselves, what are they expecting in return? What are we going to have to give up to say yes to this sleigh full of gifts that Mark Carney is showing up with? Because there are going to be concessions. There are going to be strings attached. The federal government does nothing without asking for something in return. And so to say that Mark Carney is putting on a charm offensive on the premiers of our provinces in Canada would be a gross understatement. You just heard Doug Ford say it. He's just plying them with gifts. He's saying yes to all of their ideas. But like Alexa says, the proof is in the pudding. And unless we see shovels in the ground and things actually getting done, it's exactly like Santa Claus. It's like a figment. It's a figment.
And don't forget that we have, just as an example, we have the Canadian Federation of Municipalities who receive money from the federal government to build more projects. But those federations are under the pressure to build greenish new project who cost more for Canadian. So I'm pretty sure this is the same thing that we are saying. I promise this, but you need to comply with the environmental policies. You need to comply to build more green project. You need to spend more into like innovation and everything in order to build more sustainable for the planet. But at the end of the day, I'm not saying that it's not good to have green and better project, but the thing is, it is so hard to get to those projects that the cost over there is just ridiculous. Look at in Quebec, I think I saw new condominium for elderly people, but because of all the regulation, I think it was 1.5 billion and 1.5 million per condominium being built. And it was like, nobody will actually live on this. It's just because what they are asking it is too costly.
Yes. Anytime you attach a green or an eco or a net zero initiative to any project, it's going to increase the cost of that project at least 3 times. At least 3 times. And when we're talking about housing, okay, we're in an actual housing crisis in Canada. When we need to build hospitals, when we need to build schools, we need them built fast, not green. And so to give up, I would give up the green and the sustainable and all of it in a single heartbeat. And I do believe we will in the new country. Okay. In the new country, we are not going to abide by any of this crazy net zero garbage. We're just not. But again, Doug Ford did us a solid in praising Mark Carney there and showing us who he really is.
Mm-hmm.
So next up on the Rebel Roundup, it is everybody's favorite time of year. And I actually say that with a little bit of a giggle because it is childhood indoctrination month, I like to call it, or Pride season, the kickoff to Pride season in Canada. And I wrote a little piece in the Western Standard. About a Pride crosswalk that's being repainted this afternoon. Lucky us, in a neighborhood in Regina, Saskatchewan. And after parents complained, a public school trustee at Regina Public Schools, possibly the worst school division in the nation. I'm not joking. We should have a contest. Regina Public School would come out on the very, very bottom. But in his response to parents, Regina Public School trustee Adam Hinks sanctimonious email to concerned parents is about a permanent Pride crosswalk set to be repainted, in Regina this afternoon, is patronizing and full of flagrant misrepresentations. He equates Pride to Diwali and Ramadan.
Mm-hmm.
So according to Regina Public Schools, there's no difference between your centuries-old cultural celebrations and a shared human experience with Pride. It's just the same. It's just the same, guys. And it's a masterclass in bureaucratic gaslighting. I said in the Western Standard, this isn't about inclusivity, it's about ideological bullying. And Hicks' response is a slap in the face to every parent fighting to protect their kids from activist agendas in public education. And that is exactly what this is.
And Guy, if you didn't read it, I encourage you to read it. It's a beautiful piece of like a lot of information, but I find it really well written. And I would say, and I say it really often, that I grew up in LGBT community. It's all my life, and I share them so much, and I love them so much. But one thing that people who were mainly like baby boomer always told me, do not touch children. Do not touch children. And because at this moment, the acceptation from the society would turn their back to you. That was always an unwritten policies kind of their community. You do not touch the children. You live your life, and you just do what you want to do, just being normal and being accepted by the society. And what we saw, it's activists asking more and more and going for the children and going for trying to put everything into school for really minor children who do not understand what sexuality is, who do not understand what is a transition, who do not understand what sex mean. And now you are asking them to understand what is a non-binary person who is actually a mental illness. And I'm going to continue to say it, because the nature is binary, and there is nothing existing in this world that is non-binary. So people continuing to say that, yes, it's true, is normal, is we just need to normalize it, you are as crazy as the people who are recognizing themselves as non-binary.
Yep. And this is a PS Canada. This is a biologist saying this. Okay. This is an expert in her field saying that there is no such thing as non-binary. No, in Canada, parents have an uphill battle. We've been fighting this nonstop since at least 2023, all of us out loud. And these crazy rogue school boards are just absolutely committed to shoving this down the throats of little children. It's disgraceful. It's absolutely disgraceful. So we do have a petition. It's firetheschoolboard.com. You want to head over there and sign our petition to fire the Regina Public School Board, to encourage our provincial government to be brave and do something amazing for the people of Saskatchewan. I'd really appreciate it. So that's firetheschoolboard.com.
And by the way, fun fact from a biologist, the only thing that I can say that there is no sex attributed to, it's the eggs of a turtle. So with a turtle, with the eggs, you can decide to do some female or male depending on how deep you put the eggs on the ground. So that's the only species that exists.
Is that right? Well, now here we all learned a thing. We all learned a thing about turtle reproduction today.
Yeah,
and the
because
way that works.
I did adopt a turtle when I was in Malaysia, because I went there and I worked with them to hatch the eggs. And after that, I was taking the eggs. And afterwards, I was deciding with the crew if we are doing female or male. But at night, I was seeing like huge turtle coming into the island and just like releasing the eggs and just like leaving afterwards. And it was just incredible to see. Yeah.
You sound like you're describing me giving birth, because I just give birth just exactly like that. Crawl in and just leave a bunch of offspring on the beach. Sounds exactly like
and leaving them behind, you know?
Yeah. Raise yourselves, little ones. Raise yourself. No, just kidding. I'm called a smother for good reason. I'm called a smother for good reason. 6 kids, you got to be involved. If you're not, well, then what are you even doing with your life? We do have a Rumble rant. It's from Granite M, who gives $2. Alexa, it drives you crazy that Quebec is against pipelines. It does drive Quebec crazy, doesn't it? Yeah,
because a recent survey, I think it was showing 73% of the population is in favor of pipelines. And so, and just afterwards, when I asked François Legault, because I was able to infiltrate myself in the press conference, so it's funny that I was not escorted out by the police, but I asked him about the survey, and it was continuing saying there is no social acceptability, but you have it. You have the survey.
Permission.
And it took about, I don't know how many months now, maybe 2 months or maybe more than that he realized that, maybe, yes, there is an opportunity, maybe, because you need to understand that François Legault, he was elected on the fact that he was promising to extract our natural resources. That was his main promise when he was elected on his first mandate. But he turned his back because how he's governing is by looking at the survey. And so if the survey go in one direction, he's going with that direction. He's not going against it. So it doesn't have his own kind of stance and policies. It's just going with the survey of the day.
That's really interesting, because politicians do nothing without the permission of the people that elected them. Typically, they require permission before they act. And so it's like, society and culture happens before the politics. Like, there must be a demand for it. And there's no excuse for any elected official, especially a premier, to tamp down the opinions of the people that elected him. If they are telling him that they are on board with pipelines, 73% is not a tiny minority. That's an overwhelming majority of Quebecers who are saying we want pipelines. You should not keep this guy. You should not keep this guy as a premier. If they defy their electorate like this in such a flagrant way, you should show them the door. We should show them the door, Alexa.
But you know that in Quebec, I would say lobby and union are
Very
powerful.
powerful. Yes.
And so I would not be surprised that the environmentalist lobby are so powerful that it is the main reason why he actually back off from all the promise that he say, yes, we will extract our natural resources. He wrote a book on this. For Christ's sake.
Wild. Just wild. Speaking of wild, we have one final story on today's Rebel Roundup, and it pertains to Canada's craziest mayor, the one and only Olivia
Chow.
Olivia Chow. Let us watch Mayor Olivia Chow doing what she does best, which is embarrassing herself and making a mockery of the city of Toronto. Let's watch.
Now, we've all seen the depressing news. Pride Toronto have lost some corporate sponsor because they just don't know who they are. They're short-sighted. They don't know who they are. And the first round of corporate cuts, about $300,000, the city of Toronto said, you know what? We're going to come to the table. We will provide a grant that is $350,000 and every year for 5 years, 62% increasing the funding by 2027. Yeah, that's our commitment to you. Now, then there's the security costs, and then there are now Google and okay, we won't even, Home Depot, I know, I hate telling them, yeah, don't shop at Home Depot, guys. Rona, okay? Yeah, there are other places. Anyway, shop Canadian, shop local, no? Yeah, yes. We are not the 51st state, are you kidding? We are proud Torontonians, right? Yeah, absolutely. So, we have another round of funding that you heard about. Yes, another $2 million to help out with the funding need because of security and all that concern. So we at the city are stepping up.
I'm sorry, I'm flabbergasted. First of all, why they are pulling probably their sponsorship is probably because they don't want to be associated with some naked, with the Zwiz out there. Walking with children around, or seeing like people dressing as dogs, almost sniffing their butt, or I think it was somewhere that I saw that some people like almost peeing on each other. Probably it's why they don't want to sponsor anymore, because you can't control them. You can't put like some regulation and say, hey, this year, no nudity, and everybody is acting properly, and we are doing like a nice parade where everything is proper. It's probably why. But now the city is kind of encouraging those degenerate comportment and behavior into the streets. What the heck?
Yes, that's exactly what happened. Was both Google and Home Depot pulled out of their sponsorship for, oh my, okay. Yeah, ask yourselves, Canada, why would Google and Home Depot not want to support that? Why would they not? Oh, does it not line up with their brands? Well, Pride doesn't line up with the brand of any major Canadian company. And this is what these Canadian companies are doing, is listening to their consumer bases. You think guys, they're going into Home Depot to buy plywood and miter saws, go to Pride after? They don't. And so they are listening to their customers. They're pulling their sponsorship. But you know what? Don't worry, guys. Don't worry. Because along comes Olivia Chow with $350,000 taxpayer dollars to keep the degenerate festival afloat for another year. Oh, you are so lucky, Toronto. You're just so lucky to have her. She's like the drunk aunt. You know, the drunk aunt that has the table wine at the wedding, kicks her shoes off and starts making speeches at the microphone. That's Olivia Chow at that like Big Bird. Like Big Bird on a liter of vodka. That's what Olivia Chow is there. But congratulations. I really do want to say congratulations to Home Depot, to Home Depot Canada and to Google for making an incredibly good move. This is a a sort of social experiment that has gone so terribly wrong, and we commend you. We commend you for doing the right thing for the people of Canada. So thank you very much to Google and Home Depot together.
Imagine like those image and footage coming out of those parade. They need to be blurred in all social media, maybe not X, but all social media, or you will have your account being
You'll run
striked.
afoul of like decency rules.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and same in the media, they need to blur it. On TV, they need to blur it. Why is it appropriate for children in the street to see it?
It's not, and we all know it. It's not, and we all know it. The craziest thing is when these corporate sponsors sponsor a pride parade or participate in a pride parade. If you've ever been in a parade of any kind, you know that you only see your float or your group and the one in front of you. Okay, you don't see anything else that's happening. And I believe that corporate sponsors like Google and like Home Depot have seen enough images of these kind of degenerate public acts that they've went, we didn't know that was going on, because the Home Depot float only sees the float in front of them, excuse me. The Google float or the Google people only see what's happening in front of them at the parade. But what they're actually seeing is reports from people like us here at Rebel News that show them the truth of these events. They're not family friendly. They don't align with any of the brand outcomes that these major companies want to abide by, and they certainly don't represent the consumers of the company. So again, congratulations to Google and Home Depot for doing a solid.
And again, if you want to do it privately in your home
Fill your
bedroom,
boots.
feel free.
Fill your
in
boots.
the middle of the public space where everybody has to look at you, no, it's not. So listen to the recommendation, get just normal people parading and wearing costume. I'm not saying costume where we can see everything, but costume where is appropriate for children and normal family, and your sponsor will come back.
Yeah, they're not going to do that though. They're not going to do that, because it is all about pushing the envelope, about going way, way, way too far, queerness is about challenging all norms, right? It's about actually destroying norms. So putting drag queens, right, in fishnet stockings and strap-ons in front of kids, that's what they're actually trying to do. They're trying to dismantle normal family activities. So we're not going to see that. And I do hope that we're just going to see a whole bunch more corporate sponsors just bow out of this craziness in the coming years, including this one. So we do have one Rumble Rabbit. It's from PS Cofield 10. And he said, your first stream attempt today where you were talking at 100 kilometers an hour and making no sense made me think I had turned into a Mark Carney speech. We're so sorry about the technical difficulties that we were experiencing at our first kick at the can today. And we hope that you've enjoyed this better performance with us talking at normal speed. We don't know what happened there.
I thought that Mark Carney was always doing his speech like
We don't have so many of those, but the technical difficulties did render it pretty hard to understand what we were saying. So we thank you guys for hanging on with us and hanging out with us today. And that brings it to the end of our little program.
I have, can I ask, because someone asked me if I'm still suing the RCMP for the trucker convoy. Yes, I'm still suing them. It's still in the process, but as you know, they are trying to postpone it as much as they can. And I don't know if you did follow, but Ezra was explaining that the person who was in charge into looking in what happened on the RCMP side is a RCMP, but do you know where he is based?
Where?
80.
What?
80.
Haiti.
Like the country.
Haiti. Like
Yeah.
the Caribbean
Yeah.
island that was
It's
decimated by an earthquake.
It's not even like in Canada.
You're kidding. Well, that's going to make things a little bit complicated in your suit.
But right now we are still, I don't know if they changed the person in charge, because it's been almost 3 years and I'm actually just waiting to be called for testifying, I guess. But I'm still waiting for it. But yeah, it's still in the process. You can still chip in for supporting my my trial. I would guess my lawsuit against them. Say, I think it was savealexa.com. I think so. I need
Let's
to check.
just check.
Because at this point, I just don't know how much we spend for that. It's just ridiculous that after 3 years, I'm still there. I'm still fighting. Yeah, it's Stand with Alexa or savealexa.com. Savealexa.com. It's the same, but you will arrive to a website that it's another lawsuit, because I had to fight also false accusation when I went to, I don't know if you remember, but Trudeau had a cabinet retreat.
Was this at the big log castle in
in Montebello,
Chateau Montebello, yes.
And so I was able to infiltrate and to be there, and I was able to yell a question about why he's not launching an election. At that point, it was almost the time when he actually stepped down. But I got falsely accused to not wearing my seatbelt.
Yes.
Everything was in record audio camera that showed that this is not true. And it was only to have a reason to ask me my ID, because since I was not the driver and I was just the passenger, you can't ask for someone to identify if they did nothing wrong. So they accused me with the false accusation of not wearing my seatbelt. And all this resulted with about $1,000 fine, 2 points on my driver license, and 1 criminal accusation for obstructing a police officer.
Holy Hannah. Like they will stop at literally nothing to try and get you out of the way. And you know why? Because she's fierce and she's fearless and she does not back down. This is our Alexa Lavoie. Go to savealexa.com to pitch into her legal fund to help fight these petty tyrants who would stomp on her neck to keep her from asking impolite questions of our then Prime Minister.
But when you look at that, this was the Sûreté du Québec, that is the provincial police. But when you look at that, you just think on yourself, the police should be not politicized. Yes. Police should protect the public. The police is being paid with taxpayer money. How come the police is being used as a tool to protect politicians from uncomfortable questions?
That's a fantastic question. That is an absolutely fantastic question, and one that we should be asking a lot more in Canada. Why are our law enforcement agencies, including the Quebec police force there, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, municipal police forces, being weaponized against the people that A, pay their salaries, and B, expect protection when it comes to government overreach? Why is this happening, guys?
Yeah, it's everywhere. It's really sad, because afterwards they will say, oh, there is like such a polarization of the society. Yeah, because one part of the society is a second-class citizen where they cannot speak freely, they cannot express themselves, they are being censored, they are being shut down, and they are being labeled as all kind of derogatory
Yes.
words like
Yes.
as a misogynist, extremist, far
Yes.
right. By the way, far right, I don't think there is any far rights really in Canada. And if there is, it's a fringe minority. And this time I'm telling you, it's a fringe minority. And I didn't met any of them. So calling them far right, misinformation, disinformation is all words used to shut down the debate, shut down the dissident voice, and just saying, you know what? You don't have the rights to speak because you are this, and this, and we don't want to hear you. But at the end of the day, those people, they are taking their place in the society, and they are using channel that permits them to express themselves. It's why we are seeing the legacy media dying, and what we are seeing the independent outlets rising, because those people are reporting more accurately the news and are opening the debate by letting the dissident voice, as they call it, to participate in the public space.
That's exactly right. That is exactly right. They use their pre-labels and they use their derogatory insults to pre-silence anything that goes against their narrative. And so we saw that in your report. We saw that in your report. And to help Alexa, the website is savealexa.com. And speaking of being at the end of the day, that's about it for our show today. Rebel Fam, thanks so much for joining us. Alexa, thanks so much for joining me. It's been just such a pleasure to be able to hang out with you and hear your stories. And now I'm just going to call you Biologist Alexa, because if they try and overrule you, okay, we're just going to pull out your expert badge and and we'll continue talking over them.
But you don't remember when Justin Trudeau tried to use the fact that we were not following the science, we were not based on science, and that we were spreading disinformation and misinformation, and it's why Canada was so divided and polarized, and it was putting everything on us, like Rebel News, like it's so like, you know.
Yeah, it started. Well, everything that we're suffering in the country is a result of that time. You know what I mean? Like, this is just a COVID hangover, and it's just the new way that they're trying to control things. But as you know, we're rebellious women, and we have a rebellious team, because we would not be Rebel News if we didn't fight back on these issues. So,
and it's why our name is Rebel News. Huh?
That's right.
So people are saying, change your name. Why would we change our name? Because it just shows who we are. We are rebellious. We are going against the censorship. We are going, because there is a lot of comment of people like saying you should maybe like try to fit more. Why would we try to fit more into a proper kind of
never,
like it doesn't make sense. You want us to be rebellious, so accept our name as it is, and we will just show you the other side of the story, and we will continue to fight for Canadian.
Yeah, it's not just a name, it's a lifestyle. Okay, we identify as rebellious people. Our pronouns are fight and fight harder. We're never gonna give it up. I mean, that's what makes Rebel News so special. This is why we have the wide support that we do from our viewers, because they know that we're not gonna roll over, and we're not gonna bend a knee. We're gonna bring them the actual news as we see it, and tell them the truth, which is something that the mainstream media cannot claim.
I'm sorry, but my pronoun is baguette and cheese.
It's the best. Oh, Doll, it's been so fun hanging out with you today. And thanks so much to our Rebel crew in the studio that works so hard to make us look and sound so good. Thanks so much to our Rebel viewers who tune in and keep this place, keep the lights on and keep this place going, and stay rebellious, everyone. This is today's Rebel Roundup. We will be here, same place, same time tomorrow. And it's been a great show, Alexa. Thanks so much for being here.
But thanks for being there too. And we represent the opposite of the country.
Yes, we do. But we're like sisters. We're like sisters separated at birth, just like Saskatchewan and Alberta. Anyway, guys, we'll see you same place, same time tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day.
You think you're going to get the language in the communique today that can help you get product to the Pacific Coast?
I hope so. I mean, I think that there seems to be an appetite to talk about getting pipelines built so that we can get oil and gas to market. The problem is, unless we address the 9 terrible policies that have damaged investor confidence, we're not going to get the proponents coming forward with major investments. So I think it's got to be a 2-track process. Let's get the commitment that we are going to build a new pipeline, and then I'll have to work with the Prime Minister to make sure that we can repeal or significantly amend the policies.
In the absence of a project to fast track, does that satisfy your demands while you work on the other things? I know you've got the 9 policies. That's going to take more time than I think one meeting in Saskatoon to see movement there. So would language today of a willingness to fast track an energy corridor to northern British Columbia, does that satisfy you?
Having an energy corridor to northern British Columbia that includes a bitumen pipeline would be a good first step in the communique. Understanding that we won't get a serious proponent from the private sector unless we address those underlying conditions. It's the reason why the federal government had to step in the first time when there were no proponents willing to take forward Trans Mountain. If we're going to continue building pipelines, we have to change the environment. And I've made that point very clear to the Prime Minister, and I'm looking forward to working with him and his energy minister to see how quickly we can address those underlying factors.